Welcome back. Welcome back to the Detroit is Different podcast studios. And we are in studio with a brother that was here and should have been back already. It seemed like right after I interviewed him, I'm seeing him everywhere. And you should definitely be connecting to the work that he's doing too. Young brother, Gen Z. He is the Gen Z spokesperson for State of Black Detroit now 2 years in a row and doing a whole lot of different things. So, like the vision that Nas had in Belly, he's doing it. He's taking children to Africa from Detroit and so many other things. But really, it all starts with the matter of mind and getting them to see things critically in debate. So, if you know I'm talking about debate and I'm talking about the city and a young brother doing a whole lot of stuff, if you haven't been introduced to him, I don't know where you're at, but you're welcome to this conversation. Mr. Jerjuan Howard, how are you today?
Man, what up, though, bro? All is well, man. How are you?
Sir. Yes, sir. All is definitely well, man. So, yes, $1 million smile as you working on different things and contracting and everything.
Yes, sir.
And so much more. So, it's like bookstore, Africa trips, debating, in studio with a great mind that's working with you, Jada, who's going to be in that orange chair sooner than you all think, talking about how all this stuff comes together, getting Detroit public schools and other schools to come together around debating. And you think stuff like that would be easy? To be honest with you, it's a lot more difficult than you think.
Real. Really is.
Yes. And also, like the Detroit Pistons is honoring you and so many other things. I'm looking up, I'm like, what is Jerjuan Howard doing down there with Hooper and other people? So,
Hey, man, that's
back,
the
man.
best intro I've probably ever received, bro.
Hey, man, I'm gonna keep hiding it because you keep adding to the resume.
And I appreciate you.
And I know a lot of other people are always in your ear like, man, you need to be running for something.
Man.
Like, people think I get asked that. This man does.
All the time, bro. No time soon, though.
Yeah.
No time soon with the politics.
But we see it. We see it in the future, my brother. We see it in a future. And it's only out of respect for the work that you've been doing, especially starting with the kids, man.
Yeah.
So many updates. Our last interview, we kind of went into like what debate was for you. And now you're interacting with not just high schoolers, but middle schoolers too.
Yep.
And you're bringing something to your neighborhood. You got the garden, a bookstore now, just all of these different community works.
Yeah.
Let's talk a little bit about like keep it moving, especially at your age, to keep building community center thinking.
Yeah.
How are you balancing it? How do you keep like your schedule with knowing our community needs so much?
Right.
And it's a lot of people that been here a couple more days and may have a little bit more in the bank and a couple other resources that ain't even doing half of what you're doing. How are you staying motivated to stay in this mix?
Man, that's a very good question. I think all of our issues are connected, first and foremost. So with everything being connected, you mentioned the garden, you mentioned the youth, you mentioned the development of the bookstore. All those things are connected to one another. You know what I'm saying? So youth development, community development should go hand in hand. As you develop a young mind, you should be developed in the area that he or she calls home too. So everything that's kind of under the umbrella of what we've been doing up to this point is around that ideology that both youth development, community development must go hand in hand. And you're right, there are so many issues to tackle. You know what I'm saying? From education to health to the politics of our community to everything. You know, everything needs some work. And I try to use the skill set that I have to implement positive change in those areas, man. Try to be forward thinking, try to be innovative, try to use my collaborative skills that I have. I think Detroiters, Black folks in general, have everything that we need already. It's just about coming together to make it happen.
All right. And that right there, many different posts, many different efforts. When you see you taking on tasks that others, such as myself and others that got more days here than you, have done other works, and you taking the lead on something where it's like the OGs ain't there. And you obviously have your constituency of people in your crew and around your age. What's your take of why do you think some of the things that you're doing have not been championed by others?
Man, to be honest, I try to focus on the folks that are not championing it because I have a strong support network. You know what I'm saying? I think if you give too much energy to who's not supporting or who's not championing it, you kinda doing the people who are a disservice to some degree.
So I don't want to say like the as far as like, yeah, it's a lot of people that support, but I'm saying more so the path that you're taking and putting in like the blocks towards it. So
Yeah,
it could even be a person supportive of you, but they not having taken that path in the access channels of
got
some
you.
of the boldness that you've taken. Why do you think
Yeah,
some of
it's like
what
that.
you're doing is like so much more innovative in that space where it's like some of this could have happened before?
Yeah, I always say, man, I think leaders have to be a little delusional and have a lot of audacity,
Okay.
and so I think I have a little bit of that.
Yeah.
Just to envision something that hasn't probably been done before, and I'm a student of history too.
Mhm.
So some of the things that I'm trying, although I feel like they should have been done, they probably haven't. So like, if
Mm.
God blessed me with the vision to do it, then I try to implement it, accordingly. But I mean, it is a struggle sometimes too, with it. But I try to put my head down and work, man. If I don't know something, I'm gonna try to figure it out. I really don't. When I run into a road bump, I find a way to get around it or through it or something like that. So
Okay.
yeah,
All right. And right now, let's start going into like some of the triumphs of Umoja Debate League and where it's at now from event. Man, let's say like in the past 3 years, the journey that is going on.
yeah.
Did you envision where it's at now? Because it's kind of like even in that path. Like, did you already see some of the travels, or was it just one of those things of being open to the opportunities and the energy and the spirit of the collective of it? What brought about some of the successes that have come to light?
Yeah, yeah. So 3 years ago was 2022. That was our first year of programming ever. I founded Umoja back in 2021.
Hmm.
We was inside of one school at that time, and the vision was always to only be middle school initially. That was the mission and the vision for Umoja. I felt like at middle school is when people start to kind of develop ideas about the world, kind of opinions and whatnot. And Detroit Urban Debate League was high school debate. So we were going to run like a brother and sister program after our kids graduate from Umoja, 8th grade. We pass them off to the high school. So initially, my vision wasn't to be as big as it is currently. But once the opportunity, how you kind of just mentioned, came about, for DPS was like, hey, you know what I'm saying? Can you get into the high schools? And we like, yeah, we made it work. So that part, kind of just being prepared and ready to take on more schools and a bigger mission, a bigger vision. And then now comes the Africa trip. Um, that was not in the vision neither.
Mm.
I did plan on Umoja being a national program in different cities and things like that. We have an Umoja Debate League here where our 20 plus schools compete against one another. I want the same exact thing in Chicago and Atlanta and DC, you know what I'm saying, all over Umoja Debate Leagues and then like a big national tournament.
Mhm.
So that was always a vision. But the idea for Africa came about amongst the team as a trip that we would take, once the kids that won our middle school and high school tournament. So again, man, just being open and willing and kind of prepared to some extent to allow the mission to take a path of its own. I always felt like the dreams, aspirations that we have, or our skill sets, are really not for us; they're for other people. And once you blessed with the vision or whatever the case might be, it'll take a mind or a road of its own as long as you kind of just stay ready and humble and prepared.
All right, so you talk about being prepared and definitely having that team that sees and part of their stake in a collective
Yeah,
and I mean unity, umoja. You all should know that from the principles of Kwanzaa and Nguzo Saba. Definitely is grounded there.
yeah,
And that kind of goes counter what this society usually presents. This society usually presents like one figure being in front, but you have, if anybody's had the pleasure of being at an Emoji Debate League event, I remember I was at the championships last year, just like looking, and it's a collective definitely there. So how do you continue to balance that as our society always wants to put a person as like that front facing figure, but you've grown a collective of very talented people that also pour into so much of this.
yeah, man. So I'll say, I think Umoja has many different like underlying lessons or attributes to the community in general, and one of those I think is a talent incubator for young people
Hmm.
and like young professionals. Right now on our team, our operations manager just turned 30, if I'm not mistaken.
Mm.
He's the oldest one on executive staff. I'm
Oh,
27.
oh,
You know what I'm
oh,
saying? So
old. I'm old.
no, he's the oldest one. You
I
ain't
said
haven't
I'm
seen it.
old based on what you said. 30. Oh man.
But this is a program, bro, where, it's about less little bit under 30 people on payroll, about
Hmm.
300 kids involved, and it's ran by folks under the age of 30. So
Yeah.
what Umoja, I think, is doing subconsciously is becoming this incubator for more Black leaders to kinda come up through the ranks
Hmm.
and get that expertise and that professionalism by us and for us at a institution that's cultural. It's not trying to be nothing outside of besides who we are. And so that's one piece to it, and I was watching a Russell interview the other day,
Mm.
and somebody had asked him, like, "You got this dope team, like, how do you build the team?" He was like, "You don't build the team, like, the team finds you. You do enough good for people wanna be involved with what that mission is." And that's literally how kinda Umoja's team that you kinda see came about. Um, Over time, like, it started off with Jada first. She's a social worker. This is when I first started. Say, "Hey, I wanna kinda help out. How can I help out?" Start off as a volunteer role. My homeboy who does, HR, "Hey, bro, I love what you're doing. How can I help out to build the team?" The garden manager came on, then the secretary, and it was kinda gradual like that. I never really put a call out initially for a staff to be formed. People kinda just fed in to whatever their skill set was, and we fed that, like, and once somebody did something good, "Hey, can you take on this?" And then, start getting grants and salaries came into place. But it was a real life grassroots kinda everybody tied in to the mission, not the dollar behind it.
Okay. So as people come and you building the culture of a team and a collective itself, how do you know what fits best as far as allowing that person that does want to come add their creativity, add their work ethic, add their talent and their skill to it?
Mhm.
How do you match that knowing that, like, okay, you're in that right position
Yeah.
and you'll mesh with the group?
So the thing is, I started Umoja myself, and I did everybody's position.
Mm.
I was the secretary, I was executive director, I was the creative storyteller making our flyers and social media content. I was hiring folks, so I was HR.
Mm.
Pretty much, I know everybody's role within the organization because I've done it. So
Mhm.
I know what to expect. So whatever standard I set is not one that I'm not willing to uphold myself or that I haven't
Mhm.
upheld myself. And so with that, it's just a very fine line of, again, letting them kinda do their thing. I don't micromanage the team at all. I try to let them, be creative, whatever case may be, as long as it falls within the guidelines of our principles, our values, our mission, our vision, and our pillars of our organization. I think that's why they're on the team. They bring something I might not have. Although I have the vision for it and I wrote out what this thing is gonna look like, it can still look like that, but in a bunch of different ways and avenues. You know what I'm saying?
Okay. And now some of these are like the questions we ask with like State of Black Detroit, because there are so many stalwart organizations that have been here for years, decades even. What is it that you think attracts so many of your team to your team, the Gen Zs, as opposed to saying like, okay, let me choose this angle with this organization that's been around for 60 years, 70 years, 80 years. They're always saying they want young people here. And
Yeah.
like, what's the difference where they're gravitating naturally and organically to what Umoja Debate League is doing versus it is calls to action from some of these like
Right.
older organizations, but that call's not being answered.
Um, I think it's a bunch of different things, but first and foremost, I think just presence. These are my peers, so
Mm.
they probably already follow me on social media. They probably already live in the Puritan area. They see it, they see the impact firsthand. I don't even have to like sell it or do certain things. They just see it, and then also too, I don't code switch. I might wear a suit sometimes. I might be in jeans, some J's, and a baseball cap. I talk the same. I don't, they people are attracted to that authenticity. I think that Umoja brings. And then lastly, the fact that we're innovative. We aren't against changing things or trying new models of things or letting somebody come in and I got this idea. All right, run the play. Umoja support you however we need to. I think a combination of those things, the culture of the organization, the branding, I guess, the face behind it, the relatability, and then the power to kind of literally change what we're doing to fit in, or somebody can come in and still be able to do what they wanna do within our guidelines still and push the culture forward.
Mm. And I ask this because it's such a topic socially right now about some of the misunderstandings, the intergenerational misunderstandings
Yeah.
that exist not just necessarily in our community, just but period in American society today about what work looks like, how work is presented. This is some of what I spoke with Angelique Powers about when we had our interview, and even that disconnect of where high school is today versus what high school was for. I graduated in 2001, so that image of I think a lot of people making these high school decisions aren't as present in the transient journey of what that high school, but also middle school student
Yeah.
is doing. Like, I mean, I jokingly telling a lot of friends now, like, we're coming up on our 25th anniversary soon for next year, and we're thinking about that. I don't necessarily know even if students identify with the school as much because they may not necessarily go to the same school.
Mhm.
In the community that they connect with, it just could be, you know what I'm saying? That could be their Roblox team, you know what I'm saying? And the people that they with, like, and you are kind of in this mix of like kind of understanding a little bit of where we came from, but also understanding this newer generation too.
Yeah, yeah, man. I'm blessed to be in the position that I'm in. Um, I've taken heed to everything the elders have said to me. I mentioned last time
Mhm,
how I talked to Baba Malik Yakini or Baba Gibson and
mhm.
people like that, where I'm literally getting that game and that knowledge. I'm able to translate it to some degree to the younger folks. So I'm kind of playing like a middleman. I think that's literally what I'm doing. I would say as the middleman between what's worked in the past. My grandma used to say, "Eat the meat and throw away the bones." You know what I'm saying? Take a lot of the things in that the elders have gave us already, and then package it in a way where it's digestible for the young people to receive. That's why debate is the vehicle that we use. Kids already like to argue, but we sprinkle
Hilarious.
in the real talk. They do, bro. So we sprinkle in the critical thinking, the cultural relevant education, the city related topics. We're really training their mind to think a certain way, but it's not just blatant and out there like that. It's really a subconscious thing that's happening to their minds in terms of leadership development, caring for their city, caring for their community, caring about their people. And I got a lot of that information from the elders. I just package it differently and give it to the youth.
All right. So when you talk about that packaging differently and given to the youth, you also present the concepts in these debates where they're taking on issues that I'm going to be honest with you. I think a lot of Detroiters aren't necessarily on the pulse of for many reasons.
Yep.
What were some of the topics and debates that kind of floored you to get some of the perspectives of what the middle schoolers and high schoolers were given?
Man, so we use culturally relevant topics and community related topics. A couple of topics that we had this previous year were city council ordinances. Well, one of them, the big one that we had, was if the Renaissance Center should be demolished or not.
Mm,
And through this, they have to prepare. You know, another one was the animal keeping ordinance.
mm.
If the city of Detroit should allow people to have ducks, chickens, and whatnot on their private property. We did the food grading ordinance. We did African cultural sovereignty is more important than political representation for black.
Wait, break that down for me right there.
Okay, yeah, that was a topic that we gave our high schoolers. Cultural sovereignty advances the black community more efficiently. I might be mixing up, but more efficiently or effectively than political representation. And so on the affirmative side, this was a team that was arguing for us to pretty much be independent,
Mhm.
reserve our culture, and that's how we'll move forward amongst us. And the other one was saying pretty much that through the policies that can be changed, we can move forward faster. Kind of the same
A
tone of
debate
debate
that's
that's
been
been
had for
happening for a
years,
very long time, very very
like
long time.
a Garvey approach or a W.B. Du Bois approach, as sometimes people may put it.
Yep,
And it's really, I think, a little bit of both.
it's a little bit of
That's
both.
the Khary perspective, but you have to know when to use which
When to
method.
use it. And through debate, again, these are topics man, you'll be surprised. Kids don't high schoolers sometimes don't know who Marcus Garvey is or W. Du Bois is because it's just not required in the curriculum that we have. It's another story for another day, but it's just not in there. Their first time learning about some of these Black historical figures is through Umoja.
Mm.
That's their first time introduced to some of these folks. And through our debate style, you have to research the person behind the idea and the movement itself. So again, they're getting the knowledge, and once they're done with the debate, it don't just go out the window, it stay with them. So literally, it's an introduction to black radical thought to some extent.
Yeah, I'm definitely gonna be interested when you all take on the curfew discussion because I know that's gonna end
It
up in
is.
the
It's coming.
mix.
It's coming.
I definitely will want to hear that. As I
Yeah.
definitely believe it'd be good to hear who's in support of that, as that's one of the other difficult things that exists today. The criminalizing of looking at young people,
Yep.
especially young black people, from that lens.
Mhm.
It's even weird sometimes when I'm downtown and I see the watchtowers, like
Yeah, the little police tower things. It look yeah, it's weird.
yeah, because it's like clearly I know this is looking for,
Mm.
young black people to be like, what you doing out here?
Yeah. Yeah.
So this this arc and through Umoja and other interactive ways, it's like if you can give constructive things to do, that circumvents a lot of what you would think is like random acts of like vandalism and things like that.
Baltimore showed it, bro. Baltimore showed it. You seen the study about Baltimore and how their violence or crime is down, as a result of the investment they put into youth programs? Bro, it's a direct correlation. You know what I'm saying? You give young people something productive to do and something that's gonna, like, push them forward, they have no reason they're a lot less likely to resort to other measures in their leisure time.
Well, I can speak to Baltimore on like a personal level. Almost a brother to me. Chris Shorter was the city manager for Brandon Short's first, I want to say 3 years in office. So I visited Baltimore and interacted with Mayor Short like directly.
Mhm,
But it was less what he was interacting with. They did a almost like a bike race, like a Tour de France
mhm.
bike race that's now in the middle of Baltimore and the Baltimore Harbor for anybody that's ever been to Baltimore. And as Mayor Short was there, like definitely with the bicycling community and
Yeah,
everything, one of the key things that they had to do was connect with this youth group. And that youth group was a group of kids that skateboard and bike themselves. And they had this initiative in cleaning up and also like doing different community acts like you would almost think like performances
yeah.
with the skateboards and the bikes.
That's dope.
He was like interacting with them, but he like personally knew so many of the kids in his group. And it was probably like about 50, 60 kids I saw that day. I don't know if, how deep they roll all the time,
Yeah,
but that sincerity, that authenticity, like it's more than just words to something. It's like he was very present with that group of kids, even as like you're looking at like the ESPN cameras and all this other stuff here,
yeah,
which, it was some political space over there for that group,
yeah.
but he was like, you know, really looking at the skateboard.
He knew the kids.
Yeah.
And that's why sometimes, throwing money at a problem is not just enough. It has to be a culture of excellence that's kinda amongst the programming too. You have to know your kids that you're dealing, you have to be able to relate to them and, you know, let their guard be down so whatever program you're even doing is actually gonna be impactful. So, yeah, it's a combination of both and kinda what you explained, it I've seen it. I've seen how that works.
Definitely, and shout out to a lot of the efforts in community violence intervention.
Yeah.
Force Detroit, what they've been doing, New Era Detroit, and
Yep.
many other organizations. And even that same lens, because I guess I see a lot of the pain that does exist from violence in our community more as a symptom of a lot of the frustrations about the lacks of opportunities that do exist.
Yep. Yeah.
Is there crazy stuff out here? Certainly. But do I think that most of these acts are connected to that? Definitely not.
Nah, no.
I think a lot of it is connected to that same lack of opportunity that does exist. And this also frames a lot of what's happening in schools. So that's also what's so constructive about that space of like what you're providing with Umoja of connecting to something beyond just what's happening in the classroom, because the classroom is so different now.
Mhm. Yeah.
Expecting to like have that homie that's gonna be your friend and you gonna see him, your 3 years of middle school or your 4 years of high school. I I don't know if that reality exists.
Yeah. No, that's real, man. For a lot of kids, it don't. For a lot of kids, it just
Yeah.
flat out don't.
They may start like, 1 year online, then 1 year at one school, then at a charter school, then at another public school,
Mm,
all dependent really kinda to some of the same challenges in affordable housing too.
yep, yep. Bro, that's why I said earlier, everything is connected to everything. Literally, everything, nothing is in a vacuum.
Mm,
Not the economic conditions of a community, that's tied to the education of that community.
yeah.
That's tied into what they eat, the health of that community. You know what I'm saying? All those things affect one another. Kids seeing abandoned buildings and stuff, all that all plays a role in how they show up at school, how they show up as themselves, what kind of pride they have about themselves, or where they come from, how they treat that area. All that stuff plays a role in development. You know what I'm saying? And I think until we include all those things inside of decision making, we won't see real life, I think, root cause change that we need.
Mm. Alright, so as you're obviously having this in mind and thought, and you're having kind of those collective circle talks with your team, and they're bringing their thought process to the table, what does that look like? What does the Umoja Debate League internal team meeting look like, and what are you pulling from that yourself about the work you're doing?
That's a good question, man. So it depends on what type of meeting we have. And if it's like a regular team, we probably going over debate topics. We probably going over issues you might have come about with some of the students we might be dealing. We might be planning a trip. It really just depends. But there's a portion of our meetings where each position, each person, literally just has a chance to discuss ideas or whatever initiatives they might have, anything they might have going on. It's a space for that. And literally, the team, we decide if we're going to move with that initiative or we can revamp it or tweak it a little bit, whatever the case might be. But it's a lot of freedom in these positions within Umoja. Sometimes I'll even say, I don't think the team realizes how much power and freedom that they have to use Umoja as a platform and as a vehicle to do a lot of other things within this city and abroad. But yeah.
Let's stay right there. I'm gonna put a pin in that to expand on that. Expand on that. What was something that happened in one of those moments that even kind of opened you up to something that you didn't see that you were very grateful for now?
Um, I gotta think. Oh, you put me on the spot with that one.
All right.
Uh, you saying something that happened in one of those meetings where
One of the members brought something up and said, like, look, I would see it from this angle and this perspective, and I think this initiative is where we should be more entrenched in. Something you definitely may have known, but really that perspective opened your vision up to it.
yeah, okay, I got one. If I'm not mistaken, our program manager, Dion Davidson, we've been trying to figure out a way to increase team camaraderie, not amongst us as the staff, but at each school, and to give students a little bit more stake and like investment into the organization and their school culture and pride and everything else. I knew this already in the back of my head. He was like, yo, let's just establish team captains at each school. And then we have like league representatives. Something so simple as that. You know what I'm saying? Potentially we didn't run that play yet, but we're going to next year. It's
Mhm.
gonna change the whole entire culture of the league because the kids will literally be our ambassadors now.
Mm.
So it won't just, I mean, a lot of them already are, but it'll be specifically like that. And the team got to vote them in. It's a full blown process, and it gives them a sense of ownership of their whole entire team and everything else. So
All right. And you, being a person that was in school debating yourself, what was that like to take leadership in that role when you were in school?
okay, before I say the correction, Jada is the one that had the idea, not Dion Davidson.
Okay,
Jada,
Jada's in here. Jada's
Jada,
in here.
Jada had the idea for the team
I
captains.
know she don't got to go to Art of Dialogue and do the sit down interview and say, "Yep, see, Jerjuan." I'm just messing with
And so man, you crazy, bro. And so for me, debate in 10th grade, like I said before, I was really chill and laid. I'm still really chill. People will be surprised how laid back I am in
Mhm,
like in a regular setting, I guess. But I was really like that in high school. And debate kind of just taught me how to I was opinionated, but use my voice, I guess, a little bit more effectively.
mm,
So I took that class in 10th grade, and typically, first year debate students can't be judges. That was one of the rules that Ms. Norris had in her classroom. She made an exception for me because I was good, I
it was
guess.
that good.
I was that good, and so just even that being amongst the 11th and 12th graders as a 10th grader, and I'm judging the ninth and 10th graders, my peers. on giving them pointers on how to make them better debaters and whatnot. That right there was a huge jump for me. It was a very simple thing she did, but it was a huge jump. And sometimes the teacher is learning more than the student.
Mm.
You know what I'm saying? And I think that debate class was one of those moments where I was learning. I feel like I was good at speaking and whatnot back then, but I was learning how to identify a good speaker, how to critique a good speaker, how to focus on speaking pace, body language, eye contact, enunciate your words a little bit more.
Mm.
Your facts could have been a little bit sharper on that point. The same things that I do with Umoja now, I debated in high school, but really being the judge, I think I use more of those skills in being the teacher that I am now.
Okay. All right. And in that same empowerment, I'm sure that some of the students, because definitely in a position where you take more ownership, more is at stake, and it helps you feel a certain way. When just that whole concept of complimenting one
Yep.
and getting that compliment, giving that responsibility with what you're given to, yeah, it does bring people, it brings a different level of character, a different level of focus. So that's deep.
An investment, man, like literally. And that same ideology can be applied to many different areas of life. In
Mhm.
particular, I was even thinking about that when it came to like city politics and stuff. I think if political leaders gave a little bit more, not even a little bit, just more power to Detroiters in general, it wouldn't that you would see the city literally change. You see it through some initiatives, the neighborhood beautification things and stuff like that, the Flower Day, where they let the people kinda just beautify their own neighborhoods and areas. What if the city really, really gave people power to take control of really, like, the areas that they're in and gave them resource to do so? You would see a whole different, Detroit. And Detroit is already prideful. We already are, in a good way, and as we should be. We just gotta find out a way to get the resource to support some of these good ideas that the neighborhoods have.
You done stumbled into something. Mentioning that on Detroit is different. You gonna get a soliloquy from me. Yes, sir, brother. Yes, sir. I do think that it reflects. That's why we're looking at such low voter turnout.
Mhm.
Because I think that still, first off, the wounds of emergency management still permeate throughout the city of Detroit. I think that that's very present in a lot of Detroiters. And sometimes things happen to you and you don't think it has an impact on you, but it does.
Yep.
I do think also that last presidential election really had an impact on a lot of people as well, and balancing the way people campaign versus the way that the acts of politicians impact their lives come together. And Lord knows, I got like so many politicians in my head right now that are just like ready to sit right there in your seat and debate me down on this topic. I'm speaking on behalf of how people feel it.
Mhm.
Um, it's tough because, like, what is the measurement of success? Because on the campaign trail, it's like, I want to do what you want. In office, it's like, I need to gather a constituency behind what this effort is and then make sure that enough money is appropriated and connected through the state to come into the city so we can execute this to move forward. It's like, yo, man, when you was running, that old other half of that statement was never given.
That's why whenever I'm talking to somebody that's running for office, I ask them to be very, very practical. Answer this question through the lens of what you have the power to do from this position. When you frame a question like that, they have to think about that process. They have to be honest with somebody who's asking that question, even on the campaign trail. You follow me? So say if they say they want to do something, I don't know, whatever ordinance they want to push. Okay, how will you do it? What's the process for you doing that? What systems you have to go through? Who you got to talk to? I want to hear those type of things because they can make any promise in the world, but if it's not practical, it's just then once they get elected, the
It, it
practical exactly like it's not a sufficient thing to even. It's not even possible to do probably, but that's what they ran on because nobody really made them walk them through that process, and that's a play on you know I think a lot of times it's intentional. They don't give very practical and clear cut, step by step answers because they play on the lack of political intelligence of some people. You know what I'm saying? I done heard politicians say, "Imma do certain things." I'm like, "Bro, you can't even do that. That's not even what a city council person has the power to do. Like, that's not within the charter for you to be able to do." But it sounds good, and they feed it to people sometimes. But it's a lot has to take place, man, political education wise.
I definitely agree with you. It becomes more difficult in that same space, especially when you talk about a legislative position.
Yeah.
And it was, I remember when I was interviewing James Tate. You definitely know Councilmember Tate in your ways and neck of the woods. But
Yeah,
he said it best. He's like, even though that's technically not the role, that's what people expect.
exactly.
So, due to that expectation, you have to at least follow through and deliver. Like the classic one, people are right now in this mayoral year thinking about mayor and really focused on what happens with Detroit schools, where it's like
That's not yeah.
there's a relationship, but that's way more like that's like the Pistons and the Lions. Like
Yeah, it's 2
they're
different.
related,
Yeah.
but they're kind of not related. It's both Detroit sports. It's kind of connected, but I don't think Cade Cunningham. I'm sure he wants the Lions to win a Super Bowl, and I'm sure that
Yeah.
Hutch wants the Pistons to win the NBA championship. But the playbook that
Yeah, it's different.
one is looking at is basketball, and the other's looking at is football.
Yeah. And there can be ways somewhat, I think, around that. For one, it can just be mandated meetings, like somebody from the staff of both gotta meet monthly, whatever. It can be ways where communication is more fluent than what I
Mhm.
think it currently might be. But you're right, they don't answer to the same people, like, these are 2 separate institutions, and it could be more I'm okay with it being separate. I don't think necessarily have to be combined, how some other cities have. I don't necessarily think that. I do think more conversation and strategic, collaboration when necessary. Well, not even when necessary, it just should happen, period. Because again, if you treat problems like they're in a vacuum, you're gonna run into problems. Take a look at truancy, for example. That's a DPSCD issue. That's also a city issue too, because where the kids gonna be at when they're not in school? On the city streets, right? So, like, in order to really solve that problem, it'll take collaboration amongst both institutions, and that's just one example. But even like parks and stuff like that, or after school programs at rec centers, that's a city rec center with these DPSCD kids, right? Like, how would they even know what's going on, what's available at Northwest Activity Center if they can't go into the school and push it or promote it? You know what I'm saying? So it has to be more collaborative effort and strategic. Real talk, bro, that would solve a lot of problems. They just really talk more.
I do think some of the communication definitely has that, which this is where I'm like that we're here right now, because this is kind of what you're running into. And this is the energy of what they usually say, the energy of the youth, the energy of the youth. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
The old school phrase. You know what I'm saying? We can run down and get them all, or we could just wait till they fall to us.
Mhm.
When it comes to doing a lot of stuff, that energy that usually stops a lot of that zeal, that vigor is the litigious element. Because people are always so worried about where does the fall blame if something goes wrong.
Yeah.
And I think that even me, especially like when I was younger, I was so caught up in let's just focus on what could go right.
Yeah.
But you're
Optimism.
living in kind of both worlds, especially when you think of like both those tables coming together. Cause, they're like, okay, so whose responsibility and what and how and there. And I'm always one to say, like, you can go through all of these arcs, but sometimes how do you even enforce all this stuff? Like, you're so afraid of who would be responsible that we're not doing anything, which actually that means that the responsibility falls on us for not doing nothing.
Yes. Indirect action is just as you're just as responsible as somebody who's doing direct action. The fact that you're not doing anything and you letting this stuff just happen, you're just as responsible, if not more, in my opinion. I respect someone who's sincere and look, this was my plan to do this thing. Didn't work out. This where my heart was at in it. And I tried 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 steps to make this outcome be this. It didn't happen. At least we know the proof of concept of what don't work at that point.
Hmm.
But when there's no action at all, you have no clue what could have been or anything like that. Yeah, man, it gotta just be more. It has to happen, bro. There's, like,
Yeah.
no way around it.
Like, I remember one of the classic community discussions I had was, this guy was like, "It's so much trash on the street." And I'm like, "It's no garbage cans on the street." I do think that more people would throw garbage away in a receptacle if the receptacle exists.
Yeah.
But then it's like, okay, so who's going to be responsible for picking up the trash and taking it? I'm like, you're asking questions that I do think communities would be welcome to, because it's like, okay, would I rather have some chili cheese fries spread out in front of my house or up the street on 12th Street? Or would I rather just take the responsibility of, like, once a day we could figure out, or once a week we could figure out who dumps that and puts it in
Exactly.
our garbage?
Literally. Literally, exactly. And that's actually, I'm kinda going through that right now in Puritan. That's a good example you just brought up. They put one out there recently, so shout out to GSD for that.
There you go.
Yeah, they put one out there.
Mhm,
But my bookstore sits on LaShore. That's 2 blocks away from, a liquor store,
mhm,
and the Village is on, Stansbury, which is
mhm.
3 blocks away and, like, 4 blocks down from the other one. Yo, if somebody walk into if they on cruise, they walk into the liquor store, they 4, 5 blocks away. Or if they get a honey bun, a Gatorade, they done with that mug before then. There's no
Yeah.
trash cans from from my from the garden
Yep.
to the liquor store. Bro, they're done with their chips, their juice, whatever. Where else would they throw it? It's not an excuse for them. I don't make an excuse for littering, but, like,
Mhm,
realistically, like, where they gonna throw it? On the
mhm.
ground. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? And that's public space. We don't own them sidewalks. The city does.
Mhm.
So, it should be more of an effort when it comes to those type of things. And even if they come to the community and say, "Hey, y'all, look, budget tight, we can't pick these up every week, but can y'all go ahead and throw it in Miss Harris' trash can right here?" You know what I'm saying? Until we get the money. If they worked with us, just simple stuff like that, bro, it'll be a lot easier.
I like that you said that, because it's been on my heart, and that I'm gonna move to action of raising that, because I agree. I think I think communities would actually take that on, because you're right. And it's not just your neighborhood, it's many
Yeah.
neighborhoods that it's just, even every bus stop should have a garbage can close by. I mean, I know when I used to wait on the freight, thank God I'm not there anymore, but shout out to those days. Shout out to those days. You know what I'm saying? It's like, you sitting, kids, they're gonna get out of school, rush to the gas station or the liquor store, get probably a bunch of high fructose corn syrup that they don't need to get. And then it's like, what am I gonna do with this?
Yeah. You
I'm
gonna
gonna throw it somewhere, probably throw it down.
probably
So
just
it's
throw it
like, but
down.
if I had that garbage can,
Man, it's positive reinforcement. Like, it's literally you don't have to even push it to the point where trash, like, it's literally just there. The mind automatically will connect that this
mhm,
is where my trash goes. It's the broken windows theory, bro. Like, what people see in their community, they adopt that ideology.
mm,
So if it's blight, if it's abandoned buildings, if it's whatever that is, people subconsciously adopt that ideology. That's why some people won't litter when they cross 8 Mile, but they'll throw a whole
yeah,
Happy Meal out the window
you got
as
that
soon
right.
as they cross. For real, I done
Yeah,
seen it.
yeah.
And they'll say, like, it's 'cause
Wait till
they
I'm in the city, and then it's like, toss this whole pizza out.
yeah, it's because of how they view the city. You know what
Mhm.
I'm saying? It's 'cause of the narrative around it and what their connection to it is. We can change that. You know what I'm saying? You can become prideful about your neighborhood in a good way to the
Mhm.
point where I live here, my grandma lived here, I grew up over here. Why would I did like people think we gotta go outside Detroit to have nice things, and we don't.
Which kinda, I want your take on this, as I've uplifted before. Me having a garden has been one of the best actual, like, community and security mechanisms I've ever had. And I know this sounds like you just don't think about this, but yes, if you invest in getting some flower plots on your porch, around your house, making it look beautiful. I'm not necessarily saying, like, and then tomorrow you go on Instagram, like, look, I got $10 million worth of gold in my house. Like, don't do anything like that. But it's definitely going to be a deterrent, because people will start looking at the home and engaging with it different.
Yep,
Every time you drive by that house with flowers on the porch,
yep.
you drive by that house with the garden out, you're just interacting with it different. Just from me watering sometimes, just the way people respond. This is not the way people responded to me before garden.
Telling you, bro, I mean, what you saying is the truth. You man, if you just sat at Umoja Village with me for, like, a couple hours, you would see how people embrace it. You
Mhm.
know what I'm saying? People want nice things in their neighborhood, from the most hood dude on the block to the old lady across the street and everybody in between, man. Like, it's respect, it's love. Umoja is open. We don't like, it's no gate or no barrier to walk up and take a seat on our benches, to sit on the stage, to just roam around. There's nothing there. There's no barriers. It's literally open to the community. People respect that. They feel a sense of connection to it. We ain't had no problems up there ever. We haven't had not one incident. We going on 3 years.
And see, even that same framing, as people always think I'm crazy for Detroit is different being here, because it's like people like, man, you really it? Yes, I live next door. This is my neighborhood. These people actually appreciate that Detroit is different is here
Mhm.
in the way that it engages. But part of it is just reframing what people see in those possibilities.
Yeah.
You're reframing this for a lot of even younger people now because you've been doing it just, I know, 3 years. And when you my age, it's like 3 years is like 2 seconds. But when you started was like some 10th graders now where they're looking at like seniors and things like that. What have been the responses from some of those students that you've seen grow through this, and how have they shared that with you?
Oh, man, a lot of them say that debate changed their whole perspective. It brought out something in them. It gave them a platform that they have, bro, very similar to how I felt about debate.
Mm,
Those same exact sentiments are what a lot of the students feel, and it's a respect thing, so I see how some of the young boys look at me,
mhm.
and I see how even, like, some of the young girls, like, it's respect for, like, what we built. It's an appreciation for it. You know what I'm saying? They're very, very grateful that the program is started, and I've seen them progress over the time too, like, students who were shy, when we had them in 7th grade are now in 9th, 10th grade. They're a lot different, almost 2 different people. We've seen students who graduated, we only had them for about 2 years, they wanted to graduate and were eager to come back and work for us because they were no longer in high school to actually be able to compete. They still wanna be a part of the family. You know what I'm saying? So, it's working in terms of the cultural shift that I'm trying to, like, really kinda instill into them in the sense of, like, pride, pride in yourself, your people, in your neighborhood. I think it's there, man. I think it's working. We'll be able to kinda tell really in a few more years, but what I've seen right now is pretty promising for the students that have come through our ranks.
Very much so. Even on my team, Mr. Miller, Mr. Demarie Miller. So, like, if anybody knows, it's like people like you with them young guys. It's like I've had different iterations of Detroit is different, but even before Detroit is different, creative differences of like how I work. But I like the crew and the team, and we can adapt and build up. But one of I think the photographer with the best eye I know, Demarie Miller, has been
Yeah.
shot some
Yep.
stuff with you all, and it's like, okay, I saw that connection, and I'm like, okay, this is cool. But even what he's seen in that and being present with Umoja Debate League and understanding it's like what is being captured, I think is one hell of a story as people uplift it and talk about it. But really that through line to a lot of these young people getting access, but it's like also that platform of you and your team building it is powerful.
Yeah, and I appreciate that. We try to be the example, let them see it.
Mhm.
More is caught than taught sometimes. We're gonna teach them too, but we want them to catch the whole entire culture of what we are and what we do and how it can be replicated. You know what
Okay.
I'm saying? We make it real for them. Like, it's really in your face. It's none of our students can say that I've never seen somebody build up their neighborhood. None of our students can say that I never had somebody that I can look up to be something I wanted to be. None of them can say that I never met a lawyer or a judge and I wanted to do that growing up. They can't say these things because we expose them to them. This is the reality of our organization.
Mm. All right. So now the bookstore.
Bookstore.
What's happening with the bookstore, which we will be doing something live with the author there. It's like I want people to immerse themselves in what you're building with this, because that's also one hell of a venture.
Man, for sure. So it all go back to this same exact area, Puritan and Schaefer. Where I grew up at, Umoja Village is Puritan and Stansbury.
Mhm.
Last year I purchased a building at the corner of Puritan and LaShore, 1 block away from Umoja Village. And this is a building that's been vacant for about 25 years, bro.
Mhm.
So for all my lifetime, I've never seen it activated. I've never seen it, you know, with an open sign on it. None of that. I used to walk past this building on my way home from school actually every day. Never really recognized it. Purchased the building, had the intent to make it a bookstore. Um, and we got to work, man. It's been a very long journey of rehabbing it, from everything from new electrical to plumbing to HVAC to carpentry stuff, a full blown rehab. This building was a shell when we purchased it.
Mm.
I'll send you some photos. Maybe you can do like some before and after. But It's been a journey to get it up and running. So inside this bookstore, we'll sell coffee and tea. We're gonna have the Puritan Avenue archives be housed inside this bookstore. Then it'll be a full range bookstore with emphasis on, of course, Black authors. We'll have other authors there too, but the emphasis will be on us. I'm talking fiction, nonfiction, autobiographies, poetry, children's books, you name it. They'll be at the Howard Family Bookstore. And not just a bookstore, man, but a cultural hub. We need a space in that area where folks can go to and they ain't gotta be expected to spend a whole lot of money. You know what I'm saying? Somebody wanna kinda just come in there and chill, hop on their laptop, we have Wi-Fi going, they can do that. It'll be seating, you know what I'm saying? If they wanna hold a meeting in the back of the bookstore, I'll show you once you come through. There's a presentation room. We'll do book signings there, author talks, documentaries will be shown there, a whole entire thing. But I'm picturing it as a neighborhood hub, more so than anything, a neighborhood hub, an example again of what we can do. Because that story of that bookstore is the same story of so many other abandoned buildings, in the city of Detroit, in neighborhoods that people claim and love. You know what I'm saying? And I'm actually looking forward to being able to share what that process was with people so they can replicate it in their own neighborhoods and, take back control of some of these commercial properties that have been sitting dormant for decades.
Yeah, as you talk about like everything's so interconnected and that push for third spaces, as they say,
Yep.
and the need for third spaces, meaning like you have home, you have work, but where else do you go? And now, especially in your generation, as they talk about young people don't interact as much. It's like, where is that space that's welcome? What does it look like? What exists for that? That becomes the question sometimes. And
Yeah.
this is definitely going to answer a lot of those questions.
Yeah, man, it's supposed to answer a lot of those questions. And again, for us, I'm gonna have a lot of extra programming that take place there too. From like I said, author talks to book signings. I'm gonna do like bingo nights for the elders is in the community. We gonna do adult spelling bees.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying?
Oh, that's going to be hot right there.
Yeah, we're gonna do
Be
stuff
hot
like
right
that.
there. People going to be like, Khary, you got to get in that.
You feel? We're gonna do stuff like that, man. Anything to bring people to the space. I like people ask my target audience. This is everybody. It's everybody. I want this to be a place where families come and pick out a book on Saturday morning. You're gonna take your girl on a quick date, grab some coffee and grab a book. It's gonna be the vibe for that. You wanna just kinda come chill and do some work on your laptop. This will be the place for that. You wanna learn more about Puritan history. This will be the place for that. So
Okay.
it's literally all encompassing. From the interior design standpoint that we going, it's gonna be a very cozy, homey type feel. And it's gonna be for us and by us, man.
That's big. That's big. So with that, man, other than that, we get into a close of this interview. But we can't leave people where they at with that. State of Black Detroit, you've been our Generation Z person. This year, I was going to have people like pass the baton on to somebody else. What has it been like to be just a part of that effort as you were at one, definitely coming back and building, and then those connections? Because I know Yusef's gotten a couple of talks and Piper and everything like that. What has been the response from the people of that?
Oh man, they respect it. They respect it. A lot of people learn about my work through this platform. So I appreciate you for that. You know what I'm saying? Intergenerational folks too. Folks who I didn't know and probably wouldn't have found me unless I was on this platform. So that's been well received. It tied I think it tied in my relationship with a lot more people too, like Piper, of course, Yusef, the Larsosas as well. It just, people do work, but once you like almost like with somebody that's admirable vouch for you and be like, "This is my people," it opens up a whole nother avenue for collaboration, a whole nother level of seriousness, I would say, to come about as a result of me being on there.
Okay. And what is that pulse you think right now for that Gen Z, especially heading into like we're going to have a new mayor, a couple new council members. Things will look a little bit different. What do you think the pulse of Gen Z right now in Detroit is?
Man, that's a complicated answer, bro. The pulse of what Gen Z is. I think there's a little bit collaboration starting to brew amongst Gen Z. I think there's some opportunities that are coming up. But I still think it's a large amount of Gen Zers who just not plugged in enough. And we gotta make sure we gotta find a way to get them more plugged into the things that are going on. it's a lot of dope things happening in the city right now, and it's supposedly for Gen Zers, but they just don't know about it. You know what I'm saying? Literally, like in the age of information, social media, people just don't know about all the opportunities that the city has to offer in terms
Mm,
of the tech thing that's rising up, in terms of just development, in terms of community, in terms of communication, journalism. Every avenue in Detroit right now is open.
mm.
You know what I'm saying? I really believe that it's open, and if somebody steps in and they the right person for that lane, they gonna shoot up. A lot of Gen Zers still aren't aware of these lanes even exist and then how to kinda place themselves in it. So, I don't know how I would grade, and then you know, we talk about some of the other issues that we might have in terms of the violence or whatever the case might be. So, it's tough, man. It's tough. It's a complicated answer, depends on what area of Gen Z you talking about, to be honest.
Mm. Okay. All right. And for us, I'm like a old, I don't know what you like a old millennial, meaning like 82. So like really like real close to Gen X. What do you think we could do? What do you think we could do to uplift and offer more opportunities to make it more present for Gen Z?
So I think you're doing a good job at it. You already mentioned kinda how your team is.
Hmm.
Again, more is caught than taught. Just creating opportunities for us to be around. You know what I'm saying? Black Tech Society is a good example of something like that, where Gen Zers, millennials, and everybody is kinda just coming together
Hmm.
and game is being shared. There's sometimes like this myth that like we don't rock with each other based on based on the ages, and that's not always the truth. It's just some people go to Flood, some people might go to another club, you feel me? It's
Yeah,
just not
exactly.
it's literally just a different vibe, but we all still out hanging, you know what I'm saying? Let's come together. But in other areas too, not just the clubbing part, you
Yeah, I
follow me?
got you. Yeah,
But
I was gonna say if you Gen Z and Floods, boy, you are either trying to cut a business deal or get an auntie. I'm just messing.
hey, for real though, man, that's what Floods is. So no, I mean, just more collaboration, inclusion into events and vice versa. If we having a panel or something like that, let's include all generations on that panel so we all get in the game.
Hmm.
If there's an event, let's include everybody in the programming. Just consistent stuff like that, again, will solve a lot of our problems. I don't know if it's like just one big answer. I think just gradual like connection because we are all connected. Just being amongst each other, it'll unravel itself. You feel me?
Definitely. Definitely. Well, with that being said, as always, great having you on. Detroit is different. I usually have like you already answered the classic Detroit is different questions. I already know what you would have the answer to this other Detroit is different questions. So now I'm building this one. So Detroit moment. All right, you can pick. I think I know which one you're gonna pick. You could have been in the locker room with the Pistons when Isaiah and them won the first championship.
Mm.
You could have been at the victory rally for Coleman Young when he first is elected to the mayor, city of Detroit. Or you could be at, I already think I know, Ford Field. Well, not what is it? No, it was like the Ford Auditorium when Martin Luther King gives the I Have a Dream speech for the first time. Which one you picking? Why?
Man, um, man, that's tough. I was just talking about Mayor Cole when they young today too. Like this morning, I was talking about him. I feel like that energy would have been electric. All of them would have been electric.
Hmm.
I'm going with the Pistons though, man.
Ah, see, I was wrong. I was
I'm
wrong.
gonna go
See,
with the
there you
Pistons,
go.
man. I'm already thinking about the champagne photos and
Yeah, there you
stuff.
go.
It just seemed like something. Detroit again, man, is already so prideful, bro. If the Lions would have won the Super Bowl last year, I would have lost my mind. So
Hilarious.
I couldn't imagine once we actually won the Pistons. I'm a basketball guy too, man. What?
I know. It's like
I,
that's another thing. You Gen Zers did not have to live through a Lions era. I'm just messing.
no, I did, bro. They used to ruin my Sundays, man. Had me mad for the whole day. For
If
real.
you're young enough, it's like the Lions always been winning. What are you talking about?
No, they weren't there. Man, one last thing I wanted to mention though before we hop off.
Mhm.
There's more development that's coming to Puritan.
What's up?
I'm building a health clinic, bro.
Oh man, that is new.
We're gonna
Congratulations.
Yeah, man, thank you. We're gonna build a health clinic over there. That might be like a 2027 project,
Okay.
but we got the land. We own the land for where the health clinic and potentially a commercial kitchen will sit. When we first bought the building for the bookstore,
Hmm.
I surveyed the area. I asked folks not only what they wanted to see inside the bookstore in terms of books and programs and whatnot, but what was the whole entire neighborhood missing? What businesses were missing? Organizations were missing? Talk to me. And one of the main responses that we got was a health clinic.
Mm.
So the very simple things, blood pressure, testing, physicals for the boys and girls that play sports, all of those things will take place inside this health clinic, but it'll also be, I think, kind of innovative in that too. They'll see a regular physician, everything like that, a doctor for those issues or things I just named, but they'll also be required to go see a nutritionist. And so say if they're having gut issues or something like that, the doctor can prescribe whatever, also go talk to this person about what vegetables and fruits and whatnot and help with those issues. So I'm trying to approach from a holistic standpoint. But yeah, health clinic is next, man.
Well,
2027.
well, one of the people that I want to introduce you to, you've already met through State of Black Detroit.
Yeah.
You already know you got to talk to Jesse Brown about that.
Yep.
Jesse be all in that.
Yeah, he on my list. After I kind of finish up this bookstore development and get this one, start making some money, because you know what I'm saying, it's been a process.
Yes, sir.
You know, I'm shifting my focus. It's gonna be right across the street, actually. It's diagonal right across the street from the bookstore, the land that we got for the health clinic.
That's powerful. And then also Mitchell with the Huda Clinic over here. I don't think a lot of people know this neighborhood is very close to the Muslim Center. And what that Huda Clinic has provided for generations for a lot of people in that community. So Mitchell would be good to talk to, amongst other people. It's all types of people that I'll be forgetting that I know. My PCP, just a bunch of folks that I think something like powerful, if that's what the community said they wanted, that's going to be powerful.
Yeah, man. Yeah. Let's do it, bro.
Yes, sir. That being said, peace.